Unscripted.
You know, in general, I much prefer to be positive in situations where video games are concerned. Being negative doesn't really kind of get everybody excited about stuff, and I can understand that that's kind of a downer and a bummer for a lot of people. So I do try to keep to the more positive side of things lately, but there are inevitably some bad things that come out, and a lot of people ask me to cover certain stories or cover certain things that are going on, and this is one of the bad things that's happening with the PlayStation right now. And a lot of people are kind of speaking out about it and maybe requesting that Sony does something about it sooner rather than later. And I completely understand that. I really think that this is something that Sony absolutely should address, and they need to come out and kind of make this right before too long. Because, again, at the end of the day, we're going to start to see something that's going to happen. And this could cause people to maybe, leave Sony. This could cause people to maybe go to Xbox or wherever. But for me personally, I just think that this is something that's maybe been blown a little bit out of proportion, but very much worthwhile talking about in the meantime, just because I feel like it's something that so many people are talking about lately. And I can't tell if it's, basically faux concern or if it's real concern, but for me personally, I just feel like it's something that just tends to happen, and and people want to talk about it, and people will talk about it, and so I mean we're gonna cover it here and see what everybody thinks. Is it the be all end all worst thing ever? I personally don't think so, but we're gonna have to find out. Maybe you might think differently. That's the thing about games. That's the thing about opinions. We all have them, and they can oftentimes be different from one another. I think we all kind of have our own idea about what's, what upsets us and maybe what doesn't. For me personally, I find like this is one of those things that really, I feel kind of both ways about it. So we'll see how it works. But anyway, according to this, this is more PS4 related, but basically what this basically means is you're no longer be able to play physical or even digital games offline with a bad or missing CMOS battery, which is like watch batteries that's inside the PlayStation 4. And what this means basically is if Sony were to ever shut down their servers and you also didn't have this battery, you wouldn't be able to play your games offline either, right? But again, this seems to be maybe bordering on fear-mongering because, at the end of the day, Sony would have to shut down the PS4 servers, which are the PS5 servers as well. I don't really see that happening. But last month, a well-known modder, Lance McDonald, suggested that in a few years, PS4 players might not be able to play PS4 games offline when the CMOS battery inside the console dies. Fast forward a few weeks, and a Twitter user has now posted proof that this is indeed the case. Someone decided to purchase a PS4 Slim to test whether PS4 games will no longer work due to bad or missing CMOS batteries without an internet connection. He says, I went out and picked up the PS4 Slim in order to take it apart and remove the battery inside of it. The test is to determine what will happen if the battery goes bad and pretending the PSN servers are offline. By replicating the issue, we hope to have some record of it. As it turns out, removing the battery inside Sony's console prevent people from playing any physical or digital games without an active internet connection or with PSN being down. When trying to play games, users are presented with the error code CE3039116. Just as he mentioned in his video with the battery, I took out the battery to see if I could replicate the issue as well. It does not play any physical or digital games without connecting online. It appears with an error, and there's also some proof of this, which I'm going to link in the description. If you want proof of the issue, there is a video. I'm going to link it. He says he took out the battery and put the PS4 back together. The result, no physical or digital games work offline without connecting to Sony's server. Also may cause game data install corruption. In order to play games without a working battery, users are required to connect to PSN. This applies to both physical and digital PS4 titles. Now, after reinstalling again, the same thing happens without the CMOS battery installed. They did multiple games, even though they're physical discs, and you get an error. He says he decided to connect the PS4 back to Sony's servers to see if the games would start to work again, it would work, but only after logging back into an account. Just to recap, the PS4 has no battery installed as they removed it for testing. Of course, this will only prove to be troublesome when the CMOS battery inside the console gets removed or die, and one doesn't want to connect to PS4 Sony's network. Still, they found it interesting and curious to see how Sony will respond to this. In general, CMOS batteries tend to have a lifespan of roughly 5 years, although they can last over a decade depending on the quality of the battery system, etc. So you do kind of have that as well to sort of think about in the interim. And again, it's very interesting. All internal PS4 batteries will eventually die, and while they can be replaced, if Sony chose to close the PlayStation Network in the future, it could theoretically lead to over 115 million PS4 consoles eventually being unable to play games. However, it's thought that Sony could also fix the issue via a firmware update in the future should they choose to do so. And according to this, it basically happens and the error occurs because trophies on PS4 require the internal system clock to be correct, so users can't change their system date and time to make it look like they earned trophies earlier than was actually the case. He says, just to emphasize, you can fix this by putting a new battery in, then syncing your console to PSN once. We are just pointing out that the console will be bricked in some imaginary distant future when or if the PSN goes away. Obviously, they reported on the PS3 and Vita also appear to rely on the accuracy of an internal clock to verify digital content, but not to disc-based console or disc-based titles, a point noted by Digital Foundry's John Linneman. PS3 users have started reporting that some games have stopped downloading patches ahead of Sony's digital store closures this summer. Members of the PSN Profiles Forum have listed over 30 games that have allegedly stopped detecting their previously released updates, including first-party titles Journey, Gran Turismo 5, and Twisted Metal. If accurate, it means that new users can acquire the most up-to-date version of the affected games. In some cases, even trophies and online features are said to be missing from the titles, which is a bad look for Sony as well. But again, you have to imagine that to be in a situation where Sony would have to shut down the PlayStation 5 servers too. Like, they share servers and share a network. So for PS4 to shut down the servers and the networks, they would have to shut down the PS4, PS5 networks as well. I don't foresee a future with that. So I think a lot of people are kind of getting upset over nothing. And again, this is just something that happens and is par for the course lately, right? We see people get pretty upset about these type of things, and it's one of those things where fans are obviously going to continue to be upset by these things, but at the end of the day, we're gonna see something come from this rather than nothing, and I do hope that we see some kind of movement or answer from Sony as well. The other interesting part to this is that the PS3 game prices have really exploded lately, so if you were a collector or something like this, like I happen to have quite a few, and it looks like the games are really going up in prices. Mid to low PS3 games have yet to pop as much, so it's not too late to really grab up some of those, and I say that, there's going to be hard to find PS3 games that are going to happen as well. And there's an article that I was reading about it. So 3D Dot Game Heroes was already showing potential without all the signs of having a price jump, and it has. When he posted, this person who did a blog posted an article, and he picked up a copy of 3D Dot Heroes for $29.99. And now you look at it, the game is definitely going up in price, and it's way over $100, and a brand new copy is listed at $320. Splatterhouse from 2010 is another game that has gone up well over $90 to $100 as well. Silent Hill, all those games are apparently going up in price as well. This is something that a lot of people will be talking about. Puppeteer, which is a game that I actually have, but mine is a digital copy. But this game apparently is going up to crazy numbers in value and things like that. So yeah, like this is having sort of this effect where all these games are going up in value and price, and the aftermarket is really going to kind of, I think, suffer quite a bit because of this. So we'll have to see what happens. But again, these batteries die all the time, and you can replace them and still connect to PSN, so there shouldn't be an issue. and Sony, should they wish, could easily do a quick firmware update to disable this problem. It's really just a situation where it's to prevent people from, messing with their trophies and things like that. And like modding and things. So we'll have to see how it happens. But anyway, I will link all this stuff in the description. I'm Crapgamer. This is Crapgamer Reviews. Thank you so much for watching. Rack 'em up. Game on, my friends. Game on. Crapgamer out.
Unscripted.